So the Transformers franchise returned this weekend with their newest installment, Transformers Rise of the Beasts, a film that feels like it fell asleep in the mid-2000s and has only just awoken and is struggling to adapt to the changes of the modern action summer blockbuster. First of all, I'd like to say this is an improvement over the previous Michael Bay Transformer films. It's not saying much, but it's still a compliment. However, I'd say it is a step down from the Bumblebee solo film. The ways in which this film does improve upon the Michael Bay Transformers films is that the human characters are much more likeable in this one. You know, they're not racist, they're not weirdly overly horny. They are more likeable, but they're still kind of uninteresting because when I'm watching a Transformers film, I don't really care for the human drama. But, you know, whatever protagonists they have in future films will always be better than bloody Cade Yeager. I don't think they could produce a more unlikable protagonist than him. And the Transformers this time around are better than those films. You know, they're not constantly bickering with each other. They're not being stupid and just blowing random stuff up. And the action scenes are much better in this film. Like, first of all, you can actually tell what's going on. It's not random explosions and quick cuts and all this. The action's actually kind of cool, especially this one scene with Bumblebee, which I won't say too much about because it's kind of a spoiler, but that scene is probably my favourite part in the film, and I thought it was actually really cool. But now for the things I don't like about this film. The main problem with this film is the plot. It is very MacGuffin heavy. It's just a classic Transformers film plotline. You know, the Transformers have to quickly find this MacGuffin before the villains find it, and they open up a portal, and Cybertron comes, or the enemy comes. In this film, it's Unicron, and you know, we've seen that in every other film, whether it's the Cube, you know, the Allspark, the staff of the Wizards, whatever it was. I don't really remember. But these films are always just constantly chasing a MacGuffin, and it even has a skybeam in this film. Like, it's a 2023 film, and it has a skybeam, which is why I said it feels like a film from the mid-2000s, like an action film from then, because it hasn't really developed with modern action. As soon as the film starts, you know, you have the Maximals saying, "Oh, we have to get this key off the world, otherwise the Terracons will get it and Unicron will come and destroy the world," and it's just, it's as soon as you see it, it's just annoying. It's just, we've seen it too much, and it's just tiring at this point. And speaking of the Maximals, pretty much every time they're on screen, they are just giving an absolute exposition dump. All their dialogue is just exposition heavy, and that's pretty much the whole film. You know, there's no natural dialogue. It's just always, you know, just shouting out exposition, saying, "Oh, we need this, we need that. This will happen if we don't have that." And yeah, it's just, films have moved on from this, but it feels like this franchise doesn't realise that at this point, because there is a lot of potential for the Transformers franchise. They are clearly moving forward. You know, the characters are getting more likeable, the action's getting better, the design of the Transformers is way better, even though the CGI isn't as good anymore, but the Transformers actually look better than what they did. But it's just the plot. The plots are so generic and just really dull and boring. I know you can make an argument and say a film like Infinity War is just MacGuffin heavy, but at least with Infinity War we had 10 years of building up the Infinity Stones, so the audience understood the power of these, so we knew what would happen if, you know, Thanos got his hands on them. But in this film, you just don't care. You don't care about the characters, you don't care about the world-ending stakes, because there really aren't any stakes, because, like I said, you just don't care. You can't get emotionally invested. So it just makes it all feel a bit underwhelming and really boring, to be honest. Dull and underwhelming are probably the words I would describe to use most of the things in this film, especially the villains of the film. You know, Unicron, it was just so generic. He's just the big world-ending villain. You know, they could have done a bit more of him, you know, establish his threat. I know that he showed him eating a planet at the start, but I didn't really care. You know, he needs to do something that really affects the heroes of this film, just so you care. And the other one, Scourge, I think that's what he was called. I'm not too sure. he was also underwhelming. You know, they try to establish, and I think they even say that he's pretty much invincible, and then Optimus Prime still just beats him at the end anyway. So yeah, the villains are underwhelming too. But I will say it was nice to see new villains in the franchise instead of just reusing Megatron again like they used to. I just wish those villains were more threatening and had a bigger, intimidating presence on screen. I think children and fans of the Transformers franchise will enjoy this film, as it is a step in the right direction for this series to go. But at the same time, it is still stuck in the mid 2000s and hasn't evolved into, what modern blockbusters are like now. And you can say, well, this film isn't for me, it's meant to be for children and stuff. But look at Across the Spider-Verse that came out a week before Transformers. That's an animated children's film, but the characters are much deeper, more compelling. The story is way better. The filmmaking is on another level compared to this. Look at the difference between those two films. There's no excuse. You can say it's a children's film or not, but Across the Spider-Verse proved how great these films can be, how much the superhero blockbuster action film has evolved. If more films were like that, then it would be better. But unfortunately, Transformers just hasn't evolved. I think this franchise just needs to do a whole film about the war of Cybertron, like the opening of the Bumblebee film, because that's probably the best live action Transformers moment. That was actually amazing. And then everything else is just, human drama, which we don't want to see. We want to see the Transformers fighting on Cybertron. So yeah, that's my opinion on Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Please let me know if you enjoyed this film or if you didn't enjoy this film, and I'll make some more reviews in the future. Thank you.